Hello guys, once again it's Matt, and today we have another video. Thank you all the members, all the Patreons. Make sure to subscribe and let's get into it, guys. And today I wanted to do a short tutorial on how you get kills doing beyond visual range combat, or BVR, right? We're going to use the new tech view kind of system that we have in War Thunder in the replays, and basically analyze everything on how you should be doing or trying to do BVR. This is to help you basically be prepared for when the fox trees come, right? We have kind of a power imbalance, by the way, right now. I will show to you guys in the Su-27, which is probably the best aircraft for BVR in the game, but also in an F-15 to show a little bit an aircraft that doesn't have TWS and it doesn't have, of course, the R-27. So here was the normal gameplay. This is the idea kinda that I do, but I will show to you guys on the tech view later, pausing and explaining everything, but just for you to actually know. First thing is to put your radar in TWS HDN, making sure that you are in the high PRF mode to get more range out of your radar. And then when you get into range, of course TWS, remember, is the track while scan mode, so it will track the distance to the target but not a full lock onto the target. You will basically wait for the missiles to get in range, that I will show to you guys how, and then I will just launch the missile. But then we're going to crank as a defensive measure, and we're going to try to stay alive depending on what is going to happen. Okay, so if a missile is coming, depending on what is going on, you can change the directions and everything, but we are going to get into it. So if you do that, that took a little bit of time, you get kills like that one from like 60 plus kilometers, right? Of course, it's always a good option to properly choose your target. If you choose your target in the wrong way, it can mean that you will lose the missile because somebody will destroy your target first. Of course, remember, check it out, the new auto mode of selection is there as well. So you know, I am in HDN mode, so the high PRF, but I choose a target and it is changing to the tracking PD, right? So it's changing to the medium PRF mode. Okay guys, so this is kind of the idea, what I did with this Su-27, okay? Very easy kills, to be honest. People were flying high without trying to be defensive. They were flying straight in, and it's something that you should not do. Okay guys, so let's get to the tech view and explain this combat that I got 2 kills from beyond visual range. So here we are in tech view, okay? So if you want to learn how to use this mode, of course, always click this and this thing will show. You can turn off these things so that you are not destroying your PC in performance. You will get a lot lower FPS because there's a lot of information that it needs to render here. I think it's better than the dev, but still it's a good option to do that. Okay, so here we are. The first thing that I did, as I said, TWS HDN. That means that I'm in tracking while scan mode in the high PRF mode, the Radon mode. This means that it is the pulse repetition frequency of the radar is a lot higher than normal modes like the PD mode, and that means that it will get more range out of the radar, but it is worse for targets that are trying to notch you or fly perpendicular to you, or targets that are too close to you, okay? But since we are trying to get a target from a very far distance, I just put it on HDN at first. So this is the first thing that you need to do. Okay guys, the second thing, I don't know if it's going to show here because it's a replay, so it's not perfect. You will put in the respective distance that you need to try to put your radar in. So for example, I would put it in 100 kilometers so that I can see targets up to 60, 70, 80 kilometers if I can, which is normally the range that you start seeing targets in the normal maps of War Thunder. Always try as well to fly like directly to the target at first, climbing as much as possible and getting at least Mach 1 of speed before launch, okay? So climbing as much as possible, Mach 1 speed. That's the main goal for you if you are going to do BVR, beyond visual range missile shots, okay? So you will see that I will go straight onwards, and when I crank, I will talk about this again, but it will always turn left. This is always a safe position. This is always not. Why? Because people always tend to fly to the left. Always. In 99% of the battles. Meaning that you are going to be with your teammates if you turn here, and if you turn here, normally you will face 10, 15 aircraft alone, basically, because nobody is going to be flying near you. So always remember that, okay? So I'm just scanning, nothing too fancy. I'm just flying straight to the target. And of course, I'm trying to find some targets to actually take a proper look, okay? Again, this radar is, I can change it over here. So yeah, here we have the TWS, what is actually looking at 100 kilometers, and it's detecting a lot of targets. So here I'm going to choose a target. How do I choose a target? I normally try to find players that are flying high, okay? Try to not fire on players that are flying low. They will always fly as low as possible, and it will mean that you will lose the missile. So the targets that you need to be focusing on at the start of the match are people that are flying high, okay? Also, you can do a little trick here. For example, I'm using TWS to get a soft lock, as you see right there. So I'm soft locking this target while it's still scanning. So I'm measuring the distance and choosing a target perfectly that it's flying a little bit higher to actually see the distance over here while I'm choosing the R27ER here. It's not here because of the replay, which is kind of odd, but still. With that, it will give you the distance measurement system over here. So you need to basically choose the target, maintain it into the TWS while you have the distance measurement on the side of the radar. And how do you know it's in range? Well, here you have a short explanation. This is the range of the target in the scale. This is the max range of the missile. I mean, it could even go past that, but it's really, really hard. This would be the more or less, you know, the max range of the missile. It can do more than that, but it's like, don't fire above this range. So for example, here it's the R73, so the range is pretty low, but still. And this bracket over here, it's the optimal range for firing the missile if the target is trying to maneuver, okay? And the lower one is the minimum range. So you're going to basically wait for this to get to this. Once it gets there, you can hard lock the target and fire. So remember, Mach 1, climbing as fast as possible while doing that. So I'm looking at various targets over here, trying to find the highest flying targets. As you see, one of these are always the best. So the range of the R27ER is with that bigger one. So what do? I get a hard lock, normally pointing the aircraft to the target, because these radars cannot really lock sometimes when it's too high above or too down below. It's more of a bug than anything else, but still, sometimes it's kind of buggy. So just point the aircraft to the target that you want to lock. It's going to work a little bit better. Once you get a hard lock, this will happen, okay? So basically your radar, the main beam, will be locking and measuring the distance here. And since you are in lock, you can even try to do a pre-lock, you know, just get a lock, see if the target goes defensive or anything like that, and then change the lock if the target goes completely cold, for example, which wouldn't be a perfectly good shot, okay? So just remember that. But yeah, just waiting for the perfect time. I'm always in range. I'm Mach 1 plus, you know. Of course, I'm climbing, and I point the nose a little bit upwards so that the missile has a little bit more energy, lofting a little bit harder, you know. I'm making the missile loft a little bit harder. The exact time that I do this, as you can see on the RWR, I'm being locked, and people will fire missiles at me. So I have to take a defensive measurement. But it is a semi-active missile, so I need to keep lighting the target for the missile itself, right? So what I do is called a crank. So I'll basically turn as much as I can to the left, because remember, if you turn to the right, you're going to face a lot of enemies, and you are going to have your radar busy locking one target, right? So try to avoid going to the right, always to the left. It's all a little bit safer, okay? But yeah, turn to the max gimbal limit of your radar. For example, here it's 70 degrees to the left or to the right. So try to turn 70 degrees to the left in this case, right? So of course, remember, try to not lose the lock while you are doing this turn. So for example, here you can see the measurement of the gimbal limit vertically of the radar, right? This is the middle point, upper point, and lowest point. So while I'm turning, the radar is actually pointing downwards compared to the aircraft, which means that you need to be careful with this little line here so that the radar, which is this one, doesn't go below this. If it went below this, you will lose the lock, okay? So just turn and maintain it there, because you are doing a kind of a high G turn here. So you're not just turning, you're just really going for it. So it means that you need to be careful because the radar is looking downwards, as you see right there. See, the radar is looking downwards. Once you level the aircraft because the turn is already there, you gotta be careful for the radar to not lose the target on the gimbal limit to the right in this case. And this will be your heading. So the maximum that you can do to the left over here without losing the lock with the gimbal limit. So as you see, I'm just maintaining the lock while trying to maintain the maximum that I can turn. Aircraft such as the SMT, for example, can do this even at a 90-degree situation, which means that you would be able to basically just completely notch the radars of the enemy while maintaining the lock, which is incredible. And it's the advantages of horizontal scanned, electronic scanned part of the radar, right? Which the SMT has, which is a semi kind of PESA situation. It's not really a PESA by far, but the electronic part really helps with these really high gimbal limits, right? And as you can see, the objective here is to do two things. This F-14 might be doing launches on me, right? So it's making the missile have to travel and keep turning to his right so that it can actually intercept me. And while doing this, it's losing energy. So I'm making the missile of the enemy lose energy if the missile is already coming, which is not. I'm just getting tracked, but still, I need to be sure that I have these on, as a good thing. And as well as that, I'm maintaining a good distance from the target so that my missile can do all the work, and I can maintain a safe distance from any missile that the target might actually fire on me later while my missile doesn't have a lot of energy. And while you do this, you can just wait. You can just maintain the lock and wait. If the target is not doing anything, which is this case, you can just do this. You don't have to do anything else. As you see right there, my missile is lofting and it's Mach 3 going for the target. So yeah, I don't have to do anything else. Yes, there is a missile launch onto me maybe, but the thing is that it's completely on my side over here, so I should be safe. You can drop some chaff over here to help it out a little bit, but if you don't feel safe, you can basically just do a 90-degree turn over here and go to the complete opposite side to the gimbal limit, so 70 degrees to the other side over here, making sure that you maintain the lock. This will mean that the missile, all the energy that it lost trying to predict you going to the left, it will try to do this to the right as well. And since you already lost a lot of energy going to this interception to this side, it will lose a lot more, so you can keep doing this, and it's a defensive maneuver while you are doing the attack. This case, it wasn't really necessary. I could just maintain the lock and the target wasn't going defensive or anything. So it was just easy. And as you see, the MiG-29 was trying to attack me. I just wait for the hit. And yeah, target is destroyed. Okay, so this is the textbook kind of situation with a BVR launch. If you do this, Su-27s, MiG-29s, anything that fires an R-27, you will be golden. These missiles are amazing, and the aircraft are amazing. But now I have what? Three more missiles BVR in the sense of radar guidance, right? So there's many aircraft flying around. I noticed that this one was dead, that was attacking me. Another one was getting killed. There was a lot of people getting shot here by BVR missiles from my friendlies, right? So I'm still trying to find another target. So here we are trying to find another target, and the TWS is looking at it. You can see the missile right there, the R-27ER from that aircraft that was going for me, but the target was destroyed, right? So I tried to get a lock on to a target over here, but it didn't work, and I was choosing this F-15 over here. So I got a lock on him, 30 kilometers, again, perfect situation. I'm pointing to the target, I will fire, and I will crank. In this case, I'm cranking to the right. Why? It wasn't really a good option, to be honest. The better option would be to still go to the left, but I noticed that my friends over here were fighting a lot of aircraft. So I decided to turn to the right to go help them out after I try to kill these targets. But the principle is the same. Get a lock, get a shot if you are in range, the speed, everything like that is perfect. You fire, crank to the left or to the right. In this case, I chose the right, even though, yes, it's a better option to the left. But something happened, and this is where the R-27 best feature comes in, you know, besides the energy of the missile and the turn. This target was killed, and I was locking him, but as you see, he got killed by another R-27, if I'm not mistaken even. But this missile, it has INS together with a data link. So if I choose another target, even though it is not on the FOVs of the missile, it will actually go for the target because the radar, the mothership radar, will send information to the missile. So here I choose another target, which is an F-15 as well. Should have maybe chosen this one because he was closer and more dangerous to me, but I don't know, I just chose the F-15. So once I chose, I immediately got a lock and then lost it. But see the missile doing the turn there? It just completely has a little bit of information where the target is. So I completely changed the target that I want to fire. And then I reacquired the lock. And again, I just can get the proper lock and I start to crank. Fire some chaff. I noticed that nobody's trying to attack me, so the crank doesn't need to be as efficient as the other ones. And I just wait for the impact. Easy kill. Very, you know, interesting thing. And that's where I think the Su-27 is the best aircraft for BVR. Because of the R-27 together with the performance and the radar. It's the complete package, perfect for BVR. Of course, I hear launch R-27 ETs and stuff, but you get the idea. Climb fast, choose the target, fire the missile in the right circumstances, choose the target carefully, crank, and you get kills. That's pretty much what it is. This is what a textbook interception would be like. But let's go to the F-15 and show a little bit of how things can maybe sometimes not work properly. With the F-15, guys, and it's a completely different aircraft. It has less missiles, it has less capable missiles. The SPARROW is a very good missile, but it has some troubles, and the radar doesn't have TWS, so you need to have an approach that it's a little bit different, and that's where I think I wanted to show to you guys a little bit of a difference over here. Okay, so yeah, first things first, at the beginning of the match you don't have the TWS, so how you're going to choose your target? Well, you're gonna use the normal search PD HDN. If it doesn't have even an HDN mode or the high PRFs, which has more range, use the normal search PDs like it is in the F-16s, for example, right? This would mean that you have less range, but sometimes the radars don't have the range. This aircraft has the range, but it doesn't have the TWS. So you need to do locks or try to filter the way that you are scanning to try to find the targets that are flying high. This is where the first difficulty of flying these American aircraft or NATO aircraft compared to the R-27 launchers is. Basically, it is going to be harder to find a target. That's pretty much what it is, right? So there's many targets on the radar screen there, but all of them, I don't know where they are exactly on the I mean, you can try to find if you're looking directly and seeing where the scan is on the exact time that the target appears, but it's a coloration that it's very fast to do, and it's not really, you know, really reliable. So what I normally do is try to get some locks and try to see what targets are where. And the other thing is filter out a little bit, making the scan zone a little bit smaller. So it is a smaller scan zone, so it's easy to put in a situation that it's a little bit upwards, and you can filter out the other targets that are not flying high. So I noticed 2 targets that are kind of flying high here. I get the first one, try to measure the proper distance and the direction, especially where the target is. But yeah, I see 2 targets flying around. This one, if I'm not mistaken, is a bot, but still, I'm going for this one. So I'm maintaining the lock, everything that I had before. So Mach 1 Plus, trying to climb as much as possible. And this will be the same thing for every single thing. And of course here, I'm trying to put the range on the AIM-7. Again, the replay kind of doesn't work here, as you see, to show to you guys the distance here. But I'm waiting for this thing on the SPARROW to get to this bigger thing. If they are both merged, I'm in range. Max range kind of situation, so if the target turns, I will lose the missile, but still. In a R-27, you don't lose the missile, of course, but in the SPARROW, that's the thing. It doesn't have INS or data link, which means that the missile will not have a way to change targets if the target goes completely to the other direction or maybe get killed. So I try to get this target that it's actually trying to get me as well, if I'm not mistaken. But yeah, I get into range and I see it flying kind of in a way that I would think that the missile would hit. Fire the missile kind of looking upwards, very fast speed, very high altitude. And I turn again, maintaining the look on the vertical gimbal limit there on the radar, as you see. And then once I have the range, or the turn here, I just level the aircraft again. And I maintain it on the gimbal limit of the radar, as you see right there, illuminating the target while my missile is going for that illumination, right? So very fast speed, very good target, but yeah, I'm just maintaining it. This is a good target. It's not turning yet, but then he starts to turn. As you see right here, he starts to turn, right? So the direction of the enemy changes. Can I like show to you? I don't know. It doesn't matter. But still, he's changing directions a little bit. But still, the missile has a good enough range. The problem is that the SPARROW doesn't have the energy to get the kill. It passes like right next to the target and it loses the target. So yeah, here it comes the problems with firing SPARROWs. Here is the first one. It doesn't have a data link or INS, which means that if you lose the target, you lose the target. It's pretty hard to get a reacquire unless it is the same target in the same general direction, so that the actual FOV of the seeker of the missile can actually reacquire the same lock. Then it will work. But if it's changing targets, it probably won't work unless the target is very near the old target. The second thing is that the missile doesn't have the range. Even though I was in the max range of the missile, if he was an R-27, that guy would have been killed very easily. But it is an AIM-7, it has less range, it is a little bit more problematic on that sense. Is it a bad missile? No, but I'm pushing the missile to the limit. I do the same thing, turn to the right over here. Again, don't do this unless you're really sure of what you are doing, because see how many targets are there here. And I mean, there are some friendly aircraft flying around, but not that many, okay? But I'm trying to get that kill. What happens there? The targets get killed. So what do I do here? I try to reacquire a lock. Yeah, I can do that, but there's no target nearby me, so the missile will just continue. See how small the FOV of the missile is? Yeah, the missile is basically dead. So yeah, that's the problem with firing the SPARROW instead of the R-27. So I lost 2 missiles. One because it didn't have the energy. Of course, I was pushing the limit a little bit. Should have waited a little bit, but just to show to you guys that this missile doesn't have the energy as the R-27. So wait a little bit, get a little bit closer, 30 kilometers, something like that, max range of the AIM-7. Even if the radar is telling you that it has the range, try to wait into the 30-20 kilometer mark. That will be the good spot of the SPARROW, right? More than that, 60-50 like the R-27s, it's just not really worth it. Again, same type of treatment over here, trying to get them. I mean, I was pretty slow here. Should have waited a little bit and get a little bit more speed, but still I just wanted to go cranking because I had a little bit of you know, fear that these targets would attack me. So I just decided to just evade that. So I get the missile launch and I turn to the left, cranking again, maintaining the lock onto the target on the gimbal limit. But see how the target is actually almost perpendicular to my radar? Yeah, this is the problem. When it's actually perpendicular to your radar, even if the radar has enough power to actually look at the target, the missile will start to have troubles because they have pulse Doppler filtering, right? So if the target is technically standing still, which happens when you are the relative velocity, right, is standing still compared to you, it normally means that the missile will not be able to see you, and depending on the radar mode and stuff, you will lose the lock, which is what happened here. I basically lost the lock and the radar reacquired the chaff. You can try to maintain the lock there, and the missile will still, if the general direction of the target is still where he is, close to the missile and stuff, close to the lock of the chaff and stuff, it might get the target. But the thing is that the chaff is so good right now, if the target go cold and fire some chaff, the Sparrows are basically that. The R-27 has a little bit more chance because if you maintain the lock, you will get the data link position until it's really close to the target. But the Sparrow doesn't have that, so it means that you're basically losing the missile. And as you see, it's not doing anything. It will lose the energy. I'm trying to reacquire a lock. Not really working. Try to change to the normal medium PRF mode, but it's just not working. So yeah, you can get very far away kills with the Sparrow. It's not like it is a completely dead missile, but you have to have in mind that things go wrong with the Sparrow a lot more than the R-27. It's always something that I talked about here in the channel, that the Sparrow is not a bad missile. It's just that the Sparrow is a more unreliable missile to get kills than the R-27. It's just something that you have to have in mind. And again, wasted missile there. I fired a missile on a target that eventually got killed, and then I'm out of missiles. So it is something that you need to be on your toes. If you're going to do BVR with the F-15, always remember that it is a little bit harder with any NATO aircraft because of the Sparrow mainly. I'm gonna accelerate again just to show a little bit of an example, a different example. But yeah, trying to figure out which of the targets are flying higher. I didn't notice these ones, but out of these ones that are right in front of me, they were the highest ones. So I just get a lock, turn to the left, fire the missile, very fast, very high. Just try to maintain the lock, if I can, right? And what happens is that basically I lose the missile. And yeah, the second one I fired again, and the missile just I don't know where it went there. It's a Sparrow. Those things happen. You lose missiles a lot. And trying to find a target, and here is, I think, where I think this Sparrow really shines. Not that the R-27 is worse in this case, it's actually better because it turns more and it has more energy. But the Sparrow can shine in the lower ranges, you know. It is not a bad missile. You can get kills, a lot of kills. Fire at lower ranges and you will get a lot of kills, okay? I just wanted to show to you guys that it's not impossible to get a kill with the Sparrow. It's just that, you know, the R-27 you will get a lot more. It's a lot easier to even record to do these videos, right? And another thing, just remember again why you should be firing at targets that are flying high. Because if the target is flying low, the radiation bouncing back from the ground will be much higher than the aircraft itself, making the missile think that there is a target flying below it. It basically overwhelms the gap of the pulse Doppler filtering system, and it makes it think that the radar or the aircraft itself, that the target is flying a lot lower than it actually is. So that's why just don't fire at all at targets that are flying low, okay? Targets that are flying high are the ones to go. But basically this is it, guys. Hopefully, I know it's a very big video and kind of complicated, but hopefully it gets you a little bit more into BVR, because remember, there are some instances where Gaijin, I think they are adding these maps that are made for you to do BVR, like the Golan Heights, because they basically are putting you in a higher situation already and with speed. And people are using that map flying a lot higher, I noticed. And the bigger maps in general, people fly high. And the more we get to the more modern missiles, like Fox 3s that are coming in the next patch, it means that more people will do that. Of course, you can always try to fly low. But again, in the future they might remove a little bit in the more modern missiles this flying low problem. So it will get to a time that maybe flying low will not be the safest thing ever, and then you will need to know how to fly high, or at least to defend yourself while attacking, and not just turn code, because 99% of the people that are flying high are just turning code. Like the initial missile launch warning, they are just turning code. And it means that the person doesn't know how to evade missiles, it doesn't know how to do BVR, and it's getting scared of a missile launch, which you shouldn't. You should be able to do offensive maneuvers while being fired at. That's the point of BVR, you know, being able to fire missiles and getting shot, and being able to survive those missiles that are being shot at you while being able to hit a target at those distances as well, you know. So yeah, anyway, hope you enjoyed. Make sure to subscribe, and bye. See ya.